Hi, welcome back. I'm Jester of the Retro Stars. I'm playing through Ocarina of Time and analyzing it as we go. Today we have reached the Fire Temple, and therefore another depiction of the sacred, another aspect of the sacred that Ocarina of Time is going to be exploring. Last time, I guess not last episode specifically, but 2 episodes ago, we looked at the sacred in the Forest Temple and the way that the Forest Temple is depicting the sacred as the sublime, as sublime mystery that's greater than human comprehension. In the Fire Temple, we're exploring the sacred more specifically as a power that is greater than human ability to experience or properly harness. We've already talked about how the Gorons are all about power, but as we make our way through this temple, we're also going to look at a paradox in the way that they are understanding the sacred, because they're understanding it as power, and we'll see that in the structure of the temple and the layout, and we'll talk about all that. But there's also a weird contradiction in that, as we'll see, they do have a sort of founding myth in which a Goron hero comes along and, tames the power of nature, overcomes the power of nature. So we'll talk about what is going on with that paradox. Do I need any bombs? 1 second. I'm okay. I'm going to just leave. There's some items up there, but as of right now, I can't get to the boss room here. I love how we're starting out with a clear understanding of the goal. We need to get there. Darunia is there. He's off trying to fight the dragon, trying to protect his people, and we need to join him. So the ultimate goal of this temple is to get this pillar, go up there, smash it down so that we have a platform to get across here. It's very clear in the narrative of the temple, right? Each temple has a little narrative that we're following. Oh, I'm silly. I do need to go in here and get a key. Anyway, the Forest Temple is all about tracking down the 4 ghosts. Here we have another clear narrative, and we can see that whereas tracking down the four ghosts is about encountering the sublime mystery of the ruins of the Forest Temple, here it's about harnessing power, being getting this destructive force to make the pillar crash down so we can get across. Anyway, okay, so another aspect of the sacred. I think I might go ahead and talk about the overall structures of the sacred throughout the other temples as well, just to give a clearer vision of where we're going. So if the Forest Temple is sublime mystery, the Fire Temple is power greater than human comprehension. The Water Temple represents the sorts of harmonious cycles of creation, like the tides, things like that. Sort of cosmic harmony, a music of the spheres, is one aspect of the sacred that the Zelda universe is going to emphasize. The Shadow Temple and the Spirit Temple are interesting because in some ways they both explore different aspects of truth as sacred, like simply knowing the truth of things. Come here, sir. Oh, he's gone. He's running away. That's fine. Yeah, different aspects of truth. So the Shadow Temple explores the dark and terrible aspects of truth that we might want to not face. In some ways, the Shadow Temple seems quite profane. It looks at the sacred, the profane as sacred in a strange way. But it's more about knowing the truth of things, including the darker truths of reality, and not running from them and being able to face them. The Spirit Temple, on the other hand, is also about truth, but explored more specifically through metaphors of light. I think there's just... Actually, let me go through here first. I think up top there is a, Old Skulltula, but there's also our first encounter with a like, and I do kind of want to show that off just because it's cool and weird. So anyway, the different aspects of the sacred as described in the Zelda universe. We have sublime mystery. We have power greater than human capability. We have the sacred harmonies of the cosmos. we have truth, both in its darker, more terrifying aspects and in its association with light and enlightenment and knowledge of divine realities. So all of the temples are showing those different aspects of the sacred. Okay, I do kind of want to look at the like, because I think the enemies of the different temples also embody the thematic ideas of the sacred that we've been discussing, right? The forest temple is full of a bunch of ghosts and skeletons and stuff, so it evokes horror, but also sublime mystery, the passage of time, whatever. Here, okay, like this room is a great example. We have these weird rock things that just fling at you. These, what even are these? These tiles that are alive, and they're all about brute force, blunt trauma. They're flinging themselves at you until the room is empty of them. And then the like. If you get eaten by that thing, you will lose important items, such as your shield and your red tunic that allows you to endure the heat of the caldera. So you don't want that. All right, we'll get the gold Skulltula. So going back to the idea of the Goron's problems being about eating and being eaten. The like is the part of nature that consumes us. It's this giant weird slug creature that you really don't want to run into. Anytime you see them, you end up kind of panicking. In that sense, they're a really memorable enemy, and I like them a lot. Okay, please. There's one more key in here. I think it's on the other side. Oh dear. All right, so, oh my goodness, come here. And you know, the fiery keys, I think, also fit thematically. There's a lot of just fire, which of course is very on the nose, and it makes sense for the fire temple. But I think on a thematic level, it also makes sense in the way that it represents the type of power that is embodied in the Goron's particular understanding of the sacred. Here's where I start needing bombs. There's a lot of places where you need bombs throughout this temple. Okay, we're good here. I think there's another trapped Goron. It's interesting that the Gorons are now in an antagonistic relationship to nature. We have already talked at pretty intense length about how the Kokiri, the Gorons, and the Zoras are like the Fae in that they are part of nature. They're living in effortless harmony with nature. But now we start to see that effortless harmony being broken, right? The Gorons are now enslaved to this dragon in the fire temple. They are enslaved to the consuming reality that is the power of nature. So why is that? Well, it's because of Ganondorf. Again, here's where the game is being quite, I would say, Shinto. Because Ganondorf comes along with his lust for power. He has no respect for the created order. He has no respect for reciprocity or love or care of creation. And therefore, the spirits of creation react negatively, and suddenly an antagonistic relationship is established. Oh dear. We're fine. Okay, so yeah, the Shinto way of thinking about things. We could also, I don't know, maybe think of the dragon as Ganondorf harnessing the brute power of creation for his destructive ends. That could be maybe another way of thinking about things. Ah, okay. They just hang out on top of the grating here. That's not really how bats work, but that's fine. All right, so the sacred as power. The idea of the sacred in each of the temples is reflected and bolstered by the very structure of the temples. We can see that the fire temple, even just in what we've seen so far, is structured very differently than the forest temple. The Forest Temple is all about these like interlocking maze-like rooms. Whereas, as we've seen a couple rooms back, and as we will continue to see, the Fire Temple is filled with these like big open rooms that are full of all these different like flaming contraptions. It's not a maze, like we are actually going to encounter a maze here pretty quick, but even the type and like the feeling of the maze is going to be different. So looking at it in contrast to the mazes of the Forest Temple is actually going to be quite instructive. But the Fire Temple has like, I would say 4 or 5, maybe, yeah, 4 or 5, 4, maybe 4, big open rooms that are full of these like pillars that shoot fire. In the past room we saw all the platforms that shoot around on fire, and on some of the platforms you jump on them and they launch you upward. On other platforms they start to sink down. So there are all these big rooms that are full of like similar destructive and flaming contraptions. Okay, let's bomb this real quick. As is fitting of Link harnessing the power of the Gorons. He uses their item here quite a lot. So we're gonna bomb that crystal, and now we are timed, so we need to climb up here. Anyway, the very structure of the temple bolsters the particular understanding of the sacred. We'll see in the water temple that its sacred is all about harmonious cycles, and the very structure of the temple is cyclical. You know, you raise and lower the water levels, like the tides. Okay, so here's the maze room I was talking about, and you can see that it's not this closed, cramped, dark location like it is in the Forest Temple. It's not a maze where you are, like, your vision of things is obscured. Instead, it's a maze where there's a bunch of boulders rolling around, and it feels very... Hello. It feels much more dangerous rather than ominous. Okay, that guy, I need to wait for him. No? Do I? Yes, I do! That's fine. Okay, I am on the lookout for... Ooh, no! That's unfortunate. Lodged me in a corner. I need to free a few more Gorons. Oh, okay, yes, so... antagonistic relationship to... we've talked about that. Okay. When I played this game with a friend during global lockdown, we would meet every Thursday and we would play through the 3D Zelda games. My friend would do funny voices for all of the characters, and he had the same voice for all of the Gorons, so anytime you free one of them from their prisons, they would always go, "Thank you for releasing me. Am I free to go?" And so anytime I meet the Goron, I just think of that. It is weird to me how few— oh dear. How few times these boulders show up in the game. I think— is there only one on ground level? Am I good to go? Is it just the one key? I can't remember. I think it's just the one key. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I think the boulders only show up here at the very beginning of the game when Link is getting the Kokiri sword. And there's one instance in— oh dear. A locked door and no key. How tragic. Anyway, I think there's one other instance in the Spirit Temple where the boulders show up. Okay, where's the other one? Where's the other one? Where's the other one? I don't remember. I could be having— no, that's not where I wanna— nice. Wait. Did I miss a key? Did I miss a key earlier on? Man. Back to the drawing board. Okay, wait, I might be dumb, This might have been another... I'm not gonna say vision faux pas because it's very obvious once you actually see it. Do I just... oh. Okay. So I ran through the entire temple to try and find the missing key. That's fine. There we go. Okay, okay. I think, yes, there's a chest that I need. Is this the compass or do I have the map? I don't know. I truly am playing this game on muscle memory, so it's just the map. That's fine. I still need a map. Wait, okay, so I have the map. Shows how good my muscle memory is, I guess. I have the map. Now I need to find the missing key still. Alright, so I could have sworn that there are supposed to be 2 Gorons in the maze. Isn't it hilarious how I talked about how this maze is not actually about being confusing and is just about making you feel powerless? I do feel powerless. I am also confused. Get away from me! Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm dumb. I am so dumb. I'm silly. I am quite silly. I am quite foolish. Wait, no, that's just a... I don't care about you. I don't care. I don't care about you. Oh, you don't see this happening in academic lectures. This is... Ooh, at least in most of them, hopefully. Is this it? Wait, is this it? Did I... Alright. Alright. This time I am blaming my vision on this one. For those just tuning in, I'm legally blind. And I somehow just missed that little alcove there. It's fine. You know what? I got the Goron. It's okay. It's fine. It's okay. Oh my goodness. I want to talk more about the Goron view of the sacred, but I feel like we've descended into silliness a bit, so I might spend the rest of this episode just having a little chat on one of the reasons that I wanted to do this series to begin with, and that is the ephemeral nature of retro gaming. So at the school that I worked at these past couple of years, the winters were very cold and dark, and I needed a way to bolster myself against the cold, so I determined that I would set up a little retro gaming station in my apartment. So I had to track down a CRT TV. Couldn't find one on Facebook Marketplace, but a friend of mine, a friend of a friend, did at one point mention, as I was asking about looking for an old CRT, that he had seen one not being used, and this fire is just chasing me down. He had seen one not being used in the waiting room of an orthopedic clinic. I think I went down there already. Yeah, that's fine. I don't need that. Yeah, the waiting room of an orthopedic clinic. So I just called them and was like, hey, can I buy your TV? They didn't answer, but at some point they called back and were like, oh my goodness, we just got out of a meeting and we're trying to figure out how to get rid of this thing. And so they were like, please take it off our hands. So I did, and I set up a little retro gaming station. I got a new Nintendo 64, because I had given away my old one. Okay, I need... Navi, if you tell me that... Actually, wait, what did you want to tell me? What was it so important? Uh-huh. You hear a Goron underneath the rock that I already blew up? Cool. Okay, yeah, so I got a new Nintendo 64, because I had given away my old one. And it was just a really charming, really good setup, and I'd forgotten just how much the CRT specifically adds to the experience of playing an old video game. Like, there's this hazy, very saturated quality to the world that fits with, you know, the fantasy, the dreamlike quality, the just cozy retro 90s, early 2000s vibes, right? You can't emulate that. So I've played Ocarina of Time, I think, on every console available. I played the port collection on the GameCube. I played it on the 3DS. I played it on the Virtual Console on the Wii. I played it on the Switch. I think I've played it on everything. I think I had it on Wii U as well. But nothing beats playing it on the original hardware, like truly. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a visual thing. I don't know if it's a vibes thing. I don't know if it's nostalgia. I could very well be nostalgia blind. But anyway, there's nothing that beats the original experience. That got me thinking about how ephemeral that experience actually is. So the CRT, right, is from the 90s, and it's showing wear. It's got the faded, the faded phosphors or whatever. Oh, don't fall down. Okay. It's got the faded phosphors around the edges, and I know that, like, even as I've had it for a few months, I've started to see slightly more faded areas as I don't know what it is. I'm not super familiar with the technology. As, like, the electron gun gets weaker or whatever, as it's beaming light into the phosphors, or the phosphors are getting weaker. I'm not sure which it is. But right, the CRT TV is very ephemeral. The hardware gets outdated, it breaks down. The AV cables of, like, the AV port on the CRT TV doesn't actually work very well. It's pretty loose, and so sometimes the image can just flicker randomly, which is cool. Like, I love that feeling, right? There's something, you know, the analog, not super polished feeling to things. Similarly, my Nintendo 64 is quite aged. The one that I got had a loose battery, and I had to lodge a gift card underneath the battery to hold it in place, fully knowing that at some point that battery is gonna give out. The battery, the batteries in the Nintendo 64 cartridges at some point will give out, and unless you know how to solder, which I do not, then you're gonna lose your ability to actually save the game. So playing the game according to its intended experience is not possible. And it is possible, but it is becoming less and less possible as the actual hardware that's intended to play it keeps breaking down. Like, that's the weird thing about technology, is that, like, there is a planned obsolescence, right? The new thing comes out. The Nintendo Switch 2 has recently come out. Okay. So, anyway, there's a certain transient quality to gaming, I think, as it is intended, according to the original hardware, right? Like, I think hardware matters. I don't think getting some sort of high-end computer to play Ocarina of Time is really in the spirit of things, and maybe I'm a weird retro gaming Luddite in that sense, if one can use that term. But anyway, gaming, retro gaming, feels quite ephemeral. And to me, that's sad and slightly, I don't know, slightly distressing, because this experience I have found so consistently meaningful over the course of my life, of just, like, thinking about, and this is the most absurd jump in the game, of just, yeah, thinking about how much Ocarina of Time, playing it as a kid, has meant to me. And we don't really have the problem with, I guess, archiving the artistic experience in other artistic media, right? Like, I think, I'm so afraid that I'm going to just miss a key now. Okay, here's another big room, right? Like, this is full of all these weird stuff going on. And also we see that we've reached the room with the big dumb hammer, like, the big dumb thing we need to hammer. Okay, so let's make our way around here. We also have some false walls, which are cool and fun. Anyway, right, like, I've got I've got a librarian friend who's super, you know, like very knowledgeable about how stuff is archived and kept in some degree of permanence, or at least in people's awareness, right? Books can be archived. Movies can be digitized and archived, even though I do think there's a movie buff would have to tell me if there's a different experience to. Actually, there is a different experience to just like popping in a DVD and watching a movie. So maybe other digital media has a similar problem. But video games are nearly impossible to archive in the same way because of all the different types of hardware that you have to figure out how to emulate. Because I think that the actual hardware of a CRT TV and that sort of thing is really like good and meaningful and important. There's all sorts of problems that you run into in trying to keep the memory of these games alive. And that's like, I don't know, it's not sad to me, but it is just interesting. Okay, here we go. So one of the reasons that I want to do this Let's Play is because I want to play the game on the original hardware. I want to, on some level, track my experience of playing it on the original hardware, and I know that the capture card that I'm using cannot capture the quality of a CRT TV. But even I intentionally got a capture card that uses only AV cables. Like, it's a super cheap, not a very good capture card, but for some reason it just felt right to me. And to me it felt like the low quality, you know, I think it only goes up to 720p. The low quality does capture the quality that, like the nostalgic quality that I'm after. Okay, yeah, so basically all that to say, I am absolutely just fueled by nostalgia and wanting to recapture the beauty and wonder of playing Ocarina of Time on an old TV, all sparked by musings on the impermanence of gaming because I wanted to make a retro gaming setup to get myself through a really tough winter. Okay. We've talked about that, and we've talked about the Goron understanding of the sublime the Goron understanding of, wow, words. We're doing great, you guys. We're doing great. The Goron understanding of the sacred as power. Next time we're going to talk about the paradoxes in that Goron attitude toward power, in that they also have a creation myth that has something to do with the taming of power and maybe the proper channeling of power. Okay, until next time.